Good morning. Cathy Budjenska here. I'm just now, it is in Texas, it's almost 11 o'clock, and I am just now putting on some makeup and kind of getting dressed, trying to get moving. I had a long night at the emergency room with one of the babies, and so um, decided I would go live this morning and see if I could take away the fatigue with some of TruAura's most amazing clean color cosmetics. I have a little bit of a scratchy throat and my amazing coffee here. I don't know if y'all are familiar with these mugs. This is an ember mug, and you can see that it has a metal ring around the bottom. It also has a coaster that ring sits on, and it maintains the temperature of your coffee, whatever you set it for, and it's on a Bluetooth. So if it's not as hot as you want it, your coffee mug will alert your telephone and tell you that it has reached its perfect temperature. It's a great coffee mug. I just love it. It was a gift from my son and daughter-in-law for Christmas last year. So I think I shared this to one of my Facebook pages, and if anybody is on that group and sees it, type something in and let me just kind of see if it's working to where I can share it from a YouTube live over to the group. I'm not sure if I figured out that it's working right or not. So where to start? So I guess I'll start with just the basic makeup foundation. I did a foundation video last week, and I had the kids on my monitor watching them, and Levi was throwing a hissy fit with his sister. Levi is 17 months old, and Harley is not quite 2.5. They're actually not quite 1 year apart. Levi was born 4 days before Harley turned 1. So 1.5 and 2.5 almost. But he was throwing a fit because she was trying to get in the car that he was in, and she was climbing in there with him, and he was just throwing a wall-eyed fit. And since he's in this room right here, it sounded like they were being murdered in there. And so I took that video down, even though I knew they were fine. They were just mad at each other. It sounded terrible. So I'm gonna do makeup again, face makeup again, and here in a little bit I'm probably gonna do some eyes. So we're just gonna kind of see. It's one of those days where I'm just gonna kind of go with how it's happening, and right now it's just kind of happening slowly. So where do I start? I've done all my cleanser and my core for the 3 of the morning, and I've done my biolifting hydration serum, and I've done my day lotion and my eye cream. And so the only thing now that I'm going to do before I get started is I'm going to use some of the balancing facial mist just to kind of rehydrate my skin. I've been outside and in the car and taking the babies to daycare, so just kind of giving my face kind of a fresh spritz before I start putting on some makeup. And this is our balancing facial mist. Y'all have heard me talk about it. It is one of the most amazing products ever, ever, ever. It's also in our special that we're running today. Let's see, what is it? 29.30. It ends in today plus 2 days. So on the 31st, the special ends. We have 6 amazing products that are all priced at $99. That is awesome. This generally sells for, I think, $25, I think. But in that 6, and I have them here, in those 6 products, we also have the rejuvenating microdermabrasion treatment. This retails for $69. And then we also have the purifying charcoal mist. We have the dual phase eye makeup remover, fabulous. We've got our lash enhancing mascara. And we have our highlighting bronzer. This is a quad kit. I'll show it to you here in just a minute. that has a highlighter and then 3 bronzer shades or 3 contouring shades. But all 6 of these products are $99. And that is an amazing deal because they retail for over $200. But I'm going to start with the Balancing Facial Mist, which is included in that. And it is just a great way to start your makeup routine. It just gives your face some hydration, and it just kind of freshens your face, and it feels like it gives you some blood flow to your face. So let me get this hair out of my out of my way. I'm just going to put a clip in it. I'm trying to decide whether to let my hair grow or cut it off. This is about where sometimes it gets, and I chop it all off. Okay, so just a little spritz of moisture to the face, and then I am going to start the way I always start. This is our Perfect Cream Concealer by TruAura, and this is the light. This is an amazing concealer. It, like everything we have, is probiotic, prebiotic based. It's microbiome friendly, very clean. But I usually have this turned upside down so that it just comes right out. That's way too much. So I start with this. I start with some of this Perfect Cream Concealer, and I make what I call it either a raccoon mask, reverse raccoon mask, or a white Mardi Gras masquerade mask. But it's the places where some people highlight. I just start with a lighter foundation. And then I'm going to take a stippling brush and just kind of stipple that in. I keep 3 stippling brushes, and these are all by e.l.f. And it's time to wash them today. But they're exactly the same brush. It's just their small stippling brush, and I label them for what I use them for. And I use one for contouring, one for highlighting, and one for blushes. So I'm going to take this one that I always use lighter shades with, and I am just going to stipple this light cream concealer in around my eyes, down my face here alongside my nose, kind of up above my brows, just a little bit. If I highlight my nose, my dad had a lot of Native American blood, and he gave me his Indian nose. So if I highlight my nose, I will generally bring a real light streak or strip right up the center of my nose, like a tree trunk, and then branch it out right here, kind of like a tree. So that's kind of what I do with this. And I sometimes make this really, really white. And I'll show you in a minute, I blend it in. So this is kind of where I do a lighter shade. All on the top of my cheek, on the top side of my cheekbone, around the eyes, right there. Okay, that again is TruAura's Perfect Cream Concealer. This is awesome. We have this in 3 colors. I should have all 3 colors here. We have it in light, medium, and dark. And I don't generally use anything for a spot concealer. Just that I'm so blessed. I don't have acne or brown spots or things that I'm trying to cover up. But I will use this if I'm not going to put on a full face of makeup. I will use this one some instead of my foundation, with a little bit of day lotion, and kind of mix it in kind of use a CC cream, make my own little CC cream, I will use that. And then the dark I will use for some contouring, and I'll show you that in a minute. So starting with the light cream concealer, just kind of all through here, down here, up, kind of in here. So that's just my start. Next, I'm going to go to my foundation, and this is TruAura's Perfect Liquid Foundation. And this one is tan. Tan is the color I use most all the time. And since my sweet little Harley flushed my good sponges down the toilet, I have another sponge I'm going to use. I do not like it as well as I like my TruAura sponges. I do still have the small one. It's just very supple. It applies and blends makeup so beautifully. And this one is okay. It's just not the same. It kind of distorts when I'm using it. It doesn't have the same feeling. It doesn't have the same texture, and I just don't like the way it blends as well. So I was going to do a video the other day and show you several different sponges that I had in my drawer, and I had about 6 that I was going to throw away on camera and just show you this one is no good, this one is no good, I don't like this one. And I went to start throwing them away, and she walked up beside me and she said, "Your pat is gone." Well, my pat, this is a pat. And she had flushed them down the toilet. So I have to get on my page today and order me some new sponges. But to start, I'm going to start today with a stippling brush instead of a sponge. And then I'll blend it in with one of these sponges here. And I'm just going to start with getting some of this on my hand. And I'm going to go around. Now, where I put the white or the light concealer, I'm not going over that area. I'm going to go beside it. Up the sides of my nose. And around this area right here that's a little bit lighter. And right here. And I'm kind of doing my foundation, not a lot, just enough to kind of even the tone of my skin. In the summer, I get really tan really fast. And then in the winter, when it kind of starts to fade, it just doesn't look as even. And so that's really why I use a foundation. And like I said, I don't use a lot, just kind of around this area and just pat that in. Then I will take a blender and just kind of, let me get the rest of this off my hand, and just kind of blend it a little bit. Okay, so that was my concealer that I use around my eyes and my foundation. So next I am going to do a little highlighting and a little contouring. I don't do much, and some blush. Now, one of the things that I really love is Petal. I like a cream blush, and we have some really great powder blushes, but I have forever used lipsticks that I like as a blush. And so this is our Perfect Balance lipstick, and this is the color called pink, called Petal. It's a real pretty pink. And I'm just going to get some of it on my fingertip. And where I put my blush on is right on my cheekbone. So if I highlight, I'm going to highlight where I can feel the top of my cheekbone. If I contour, I'm going to contour just in the hollow underneath that bone. But when I put blush on, I always go like a 2-finger width over. I find that bone and I start right there. And I'll do the same thing on this side. Find that bone and right there. And I'm just going to put a couple of little taps on, and then I'm going to take a stippling brush, the one that I use for blushes, and I'm just going to kind of stipple that up just a tiny bit I used to, long years ago, when we did everything terribly wrong, go up to my hairline or around my eye, or now I only go right on my cheekbone, a little bit down here where I'm going to do some contouring in a minute. And then I'm going to take the quad I was showing you all ago. Now, this is the quad that's in our $99 special. This is the highlighting bronzer quad. And I'll show you, this is the highlighting color. And then it's got the 3 bronzer shades. Great little palette of colors. And I'm just going to take my highlighter brush that I used a while ago. I'm going to get a little of this on here, and I'm just going to kind of go down onto that cheekbone, up on the top side of the cheekbone, there and there. And then I'm going to take a little bit of our contouring cream. I'm sorry, concealer cream, Perfect Cream Concealer in the dark. And I have some of these brushes. They're not my favorites, but I do like this one that's like that, that's really, really thin. So what I'm going to do is put just a dot of the Perfect Cream Concealer in dark on my hand, and that's probably way too much. But then I'm going to take a little bit of that on this brush, and I'm going to probably use a mirror for this, make one little pass up the side of my nose. Let's do the other side. And then I'm going to blend this up and into my eyebrow area, because that is kind of where your bone structure takes you anyway. And I don't ever brush it down the side of my nose, because I do want my nose to show. I just don't, and I don't want it to be brown or darker. I just want the illusion of more narrowness through here and straight. And so that's where I put that. Now I'm just going to kind of leave things not blended to where you can still see what I've done. And then I'm going to take some of the last little bit of this tiny drop on my fingertip. I'm going to go into the hollow of my cheek right here under the bone. And I can still bring this blush down onto that bony area a little bit further here in just a minute, but I'll do that when I'm blending. And so I'm going to put just a dot right here. And I'm going to take the last of it and go right here. Okay. The stippling brush that I use here is now the one that I've got contour on. And I'm going to just kind of feather this up toward my brow on both sides. And I'm going to stipple this right here. So now you can see very obviously contour to hollow, blush on the bone, and highlight above. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. You know, I probably could have left a little bit more on my hand, because I also put a little bit right here. And I'm just going to stipple there. Now I will blend all of this and make it make sense. So I'm going to take a brush, and actually I have 2 brushes or 3. I don't know. I've got several over here. But I'm going to go back to the Perfect Powder Foundation that we have in Alabaster. This is a really light shade of foundation in a powder foundation. And I'm going to put some on a brush, and I'm just going to go around my eye and around this area where I have highlighted, or where I used the Perfect Cream Concealer in the light, that kind of mask area. I'm going to set that I'm going to set that with this powder and just give it a little bit in it. And then I'm going to take the Perfect Powder Foundation in the color Nude. I use the tan in the liquid foundation, but when I set, I go over it with the Nude. So I'm going to get a little bit on the brush here, and now I'm just going to go into this area. Then I'm going to take a big fluffy brush. This is a Kabuki brush by e.l.f. And it is really, really big and really fluffy and really moves really well. I like it a lot. And what I'm going to do with this is I am going to just start blending, because I don't want to see an edge of where I do white, an edge of where I do white. I don't want to see a strip of pink, and I don't want to see a strip of dark. I want it to all blend. So what I'm going to do now is just I'm going to kind of blend it all together in the area where it sits. Kind of like that. So now you don't see the strip of pink and you don't see the strip of white. You don't see the strip. You just kind of see the illusion, which is more of what I'm looking for, more of what I'm trying to do. So that's makeup. That's foundation. That is the concealer. A little bit of the Primrose lipstick as a blush, and some of the cream concealer dark for right here and right here and right here for some contouring. Now I am going to take that little brush that I had some, and I'm cleaning these as I go along, that I did some of the contouring with, and I'm going to take, let's see, Coffee Shop. Okay, this is one of our eyeshadow palettes. It's Color Balance eyeshadow, and the palette is called Coffee Shop. And this is the vanilla color in here. I'm going to take some of that vanilla on this really narrow, long brush, and I'm just going to put a little right there. And then I am going to put that little highlight back right there. And I'm not going to do anything to it for a bit. I'm just going to let it sit while I finish a few other things. Then I'll go back with some powder and kind of blush and kind of tap that in or blend that in. I'm going to do a little more blush. And one of my favorites, y'all have seen this, is our TruAura's Color Balance blush. This color is Bouquet. All of our blushes have it's a duo. This one is Poppy and Peony. So I think Poppy and Peony. You can tell that this is one of my favorites. I use it every day. I use this as a blush on my cheeks. I use this also as an eyeshadow. A lot of times I'll do a pink base eyeshadow and then put some soft browns over that. And this is what I use. I use the pink. So I'm going to get, this is a stippling brush by e.l.f. that I use for blush. And I'm just going to get some of both sides on both, I kind of go this way, and then I flip the brush and do it again. So I'm going to put it right on that cheekbone, and like we're going 2 fingers over. And I just tap that in just a bit. And then I will take that Kabuki brush that has left me, here it is, and I'm going to tap that a little more and just kind of blend, and just kind of blend that. Okay, so that is foundation. Let's do this one a little bit more too. Foundation, concealer, blush, and set instead of a powder to set. I use the foundation powder, the Perfect powder foundation. So that's just the face. So I'm going to end this video here. I've got a couple of things I'm going to run do, and I'm going to come back in here in a little bit, and I'll do eyes. So I wanted to just kind of share that with you, and I hope y'all have a really blessed day.